screen. So just real quick, this is our schedule for the day, and there's a break in between each session of at least 15 minutes. So Jeremy's going to be next on stage talking about lighting and camera techniques. And then we're going to have 2 half-hour sessions. Those will run back to back. I'll just keep it open for that one. And Adam and Scott are talking about guest speakers, virtual guest speakers and podcasting. And then Scott's somebody I work with for quite a few years, and he also has helped us here at MPI with how to keep online students engaged. And then Bill's then we have our lunch break, and that's gonna be gear and kind of an open forum. And then 12:30 to 1:30, Josh is gonna talk about OBS streaming. If you aren't familiar with that, it's open broadcast streaming software that's free, and it's really pretty amazing. And I'm still learning it myself. Michael Kaufman at 1:45 to 2:45 about video production lessons, switchers, and Zoom. And then 3 to 4 is Mike Conrad sharing Martin Scorsese software that he got started this package of curriculum that Mike's an instructor for. And we did about 2 years ago at the DIA, we did a session on this, and it's through an amazing nonprofit that provides awesome film curriculum for schools, not just video production classes, but social studies and English and a lot of other areas. So that's the agenda. So Tara, can you tell us, share us a little bit about your path? How'd you get into this industry? What do I think your husband is in the biz as well, correct?
Yes, that's true. He's a gaffer, so he does the lighting.
So along with first AD, gaffer is the other thing everyone's like, what the heck does that person do, right?
Chief lighting technician or gaffer. So, yeah.
So how'd you find your path?
Yeah, so I started probably, I think it was, in college, at high school, I guess I started early. I really didn't, I kept putting it off because it was one of those things my family never really thought it was gonna, be a career. I made my first film in 7th grade. I remember at my junior high for our independent study class. And then through high school, I did all the production. I made our senior video. Learned how to edit on a flatbed. If anyone knows a video toaster, if anyone knows anything about that, that's how old I am. And then took classes in college, did an internship at the local like Channel 4 News in Detroit. Thought I was going to do more journalism type stuff or broadcasting, but didn't love it. Ended up with a degree in communications. And then I went into teaching. I taught for a couple of years. And then I decided I really wanted to do film. So I moved to California when I was in my late 20s and went to film school. Jumped right in with like 2 internships and just worked, waitressed and bartended to pay my way, and just went around and met people and found work and finished film school and dived right in from there. And that's what I've been telling all the students at the beginning is like, just get started with anything. Start now, use your skills. The first internship I had, the producer's assistant, it was a long shot too, I thought, because I knew I had nothing really. And she saw, like, because I was a bartender, she's like, if you can do this, you can manage a film set. Like, really? But it's true. I said, it's the same, the multitasking, the being able to be stern about things and leadership role that entails. So I learned early on, you just kind of take the experience you have and use that towards whatever you're going to do. And then I got right into, being production assistant, and then moved into the assistant directing world. And, I started out with not much experience on set and would get bumped up into as like a second AD on some smaller films. And you just kind of pick things up and learn as you go. And, it was tough. I learned in that world specifically, there weren't a lot of women, at least that it's changed a lot now. This was like 15 years ago. And it's a tough role to be in when you have to kind of be the one in charge or be the one, kind of this security guard, sort of teacher, sort of like various different roles of telling people what to do and, following the rules and keeping everybody on check, with keeping it also fun and light when you see your crew is kind of lagging behind or not happy, or you have a director who's, sometimes a disaster, or actors who are disasters. You have to have that balance. And I think with all the experience I had, and now even as a mother, I've learned that's the key thing, is having that balance as an AD, knowing how to read the room and keep things going and be stern and confident. And that was one of the things that I saw early on when I started at MPI. Was one of the students, the former students, had approached me right away and said that she really wanted to be an AD, but she didn't feel comfortable. She didn't feel like anyone would listen to her ever. And that's what kind of got me thinking about that. It was like, yeah, it's tough. And I looked around and saw, there's between both the morning and the evening class, I think there was 4 women out of all the out of like 20. So like a quarter maybe of this, not even, or yeah, I think there was about 20 students. So yeah, about a quarter of the students maybe in both classes were female. So it's intimidating when you're there and you just look around and it's all males. And I even saw it one time, one of the students who was, I kind of encouraged her, because a lot of people didn't want to step up and take that role. I didn't force anyone. If anybody, when we were rotating positions, if they absolutely did not want to get up there and call the roll or do anything, there was only a couple students who really didn't feel comfortable. But I saw some people, when she was telling people to go back to lock up, getting things ready, I could see some pushback from some of the male students. And I told her, you know what? She's in charge. You tell them, excuse me, you listen to her. She's telling you what to do. She's telling you your job, not bossing you around. She's telling you you're about to start. You need to go back into your position. If you can't take these directions, then you're not going to make it on a film set from anybody. And so she kind of, snapped back up and was like, yeah. So it's a lot of it is confidence. And, as we know, young women sometimes have a problem with that, especially when they're surrounded by other males. But I think the earlier that we start to give women that leadership role and that confidence, then it just helps build that. And then also too, with everything that has been going on with the Me Too and Time's Up, seeing more women in leadership roles helps that along. I worked on Pretty Little Liars for a long time, and that show was amazing. They did such a good job with inclusion. There was lots of women in charge. There was, the directors rotated, and they made sure that they had, there was a lot of female directors. There were a lot of, our unit production manager was female. The showrunner and head writer was female. There was 2 showrunners. One was male, one was female, but everybody on that crew was supportive of everything. And, they made sure that people, there was pushback on it with sometimes bringing in somebody right out of the DGA to direct an episode. But part of it is giving more women, or anyone else outside of white males, I guess. I hate to say that, but that's how it goes. Giving them the opportunity to prove themselves. And that's what it's about. Once people started talking about it, giving somebody a chance. If you don't live up to your job, then you don't get the job again. But it's more giving people more opportunities. And it's happening right now with women. And it's just a good time to sort of take advantage of it and step up if you can step up and get the chance, and, encourage all the female students to do that.
Cool. Hey, what high school did you go to?
I
always ask people a question when they get their mouth full. I apologize.
Okay, that's right. I went to Warren High, and then they closed. I went to the last year that Warren High was open, and then we merged with Mott. So we ended up being Warren Mott.
Okay. I thought, we could quickly, if you guys don't mind, if you just unmute yourself and tell Tara where you're from, what you teach and where you're from, and then we can kind of open it up to more discussion on this topic. So, Jen?
Hi, I'm Jennifer Williamson. I am the video teacher over at West Bloomfield High School.
Okay. Hi.
Brooke?
Hi, Brooke Smith, video teacher at Fitzgerald High School in Warren.
Okay.
Here you go.
We're rocking bars.
Yeah. I'll go with Adam next. Sorry, I'm going on my waffle board here with Zoom.
It's all right. I'm Adam Rauscher. I'm the video teacher at Dearborn High School.
Okay.
Stephanie?
Stephanie Harbison, video teacher at Romeo High School. And ironically, most of my student producers have been girls. They're the ones that always want it. The boys never want it.
Well,
I
yeah,
have the same experience.
good. That's the role that I ended up moving into, more of the production management side, because it's kind of a production manager and UPMs and AD is all part of the DGA. It's kind of in the same world. I don't want to be a UPM though, unit production manager. I don't want to do anything with budget. I'm terrible at it. It's the worst job ever for me. So.
And Justin, we meet in person.
Hi, Kevin. Yeah, it's nice to put a face to the voice. So I am Justin LeBond. I teach at Seaholm High School in Birmingham, Michigan. And I teach video production, but that class runs probably every other year or so. There's a broadcasting class that another teacher teaches. And I just want to see something from the get-go that I know when Kevin was telling that joke about girls walking in the room and the boys being excited and then leaving, I chuckled at that and I went, wow, some people might misinterpret why I was laughing. I was laughing because the boys were disappointed. And so I don't want anybody to think I was laughing because, all the girls left. I was laughing because the boys were disappointed.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's kind of like Big Bang Theory when the woman walks into the comic book store and all the guys look up so startled, it's kind of the similar thing. Michael.
Good morning. I'm Mike Puffpaff. I teach digital media for Clinton County RESA at Ovid LC High School.
Thanks. Leslie?
Hi, I'm Leslie Murphy. I teach a digital media class. My zip code is TV radio at St. Clair County Tech. So I'm like Marysville, Port Huron, all the surrounding areas.
And the zip code, we have almost as many acronyms as the movie industry in our CTE world, that's for sure. Adam?
Morning, everyone. I'm Adam Burns, and I teach basically, I guess, what everyone else does at Troy Athens High School. Hard to explain the exact nature of what it is, but video.
Morning, Brad.
Hey, good morning. Brad Miller from Novi Middle School. I teach one section of video and then a lot of computer science as well.
All right. Hi, Cindy.
Good morning. Good morning. How are you?
Good.
I'm Cindy Kellerman, and I teach all the humanities at Wayne County Community College, and especially intro to film, and really, really trying to expand people's knowledge of film going back to the 1800s. They have no idea.
That's interesting.
Not even the 1900s sometimes.
Yeah, or yesterday.
Good morning, Pat. I think I got Pat. I'm not sure you hear me all right. You are muted. I'm not sure. Pat Morrow. Oh, he's here virtually. All right. So first off, does anyone have any specific questions for Tara on what she's covered so far? Go ahead, Cindy. And you guys can always type them in the chat window too if you want, if that's easier.
Okay.
So,
go
ahead, Cindy. Go ahead.
Just so excited.
Okay.
And I think that people don't realize, or most of the public doesn't realize, women were the fire starters in the beginning of film. They were the ones that got things rolling, and then the guys butted in, of course, wanted to take over. But I just think if we, following the whole history of women in film is so important, so we understand where our places have been and where we're going.
Yeah, that's great. I would love to learn more film history like that. But yeah, it's tough because, you know, there's, again, representation, there's not a ton, and people are going out of their way to, you know, I had a friend who did a all female production, like a film. They did an independent film and they made sure they had all females. And I don't necessarily, I mean, it's great if they fill the role, and that's the thing. It's not just like all about females and women. It's if it fits the role, but it's opening more doors and getting people, you know, giving somebody a chance who wouldn't normally get a chance, which is what the inclusion is all about. Not just one section, but giving somebody a chance. Don't take a job away from someone who's qualified and give it to someone who's not qualified, but it's giving more opportunities and making, you know, it's the same thing, you know, Gina Davis Institute, she has an awesome institute that's very, you know, it's very female centric. It's, you know, women empowerment, and it's like, you know, you giving younger girls a chance to see something, and then that, you know, that makes them think, oh, I can do that, or that, you know, they just see themselves. We forget sometimes, and not to take anything away from men, you know, my husband and I have this discussion all the time. He works for a female DP and he loves it. At first he was like, I think they hired her because they wanted to check a box off. She doesn't have as much experience, and he was nervous, and, you know, the gaffer and the DP work hand in hand, and this is like his third or fourth show with her now, and he loves it. And she brings a different perspective too, and that makes a big difference. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely giving more opportunities and letting females see that these things can be done. Leadership roles can be done, and it not in a way where you're, you know, I've seen people take it as like they can be, it's not a bossy, being an AD it's a tough job, again, to manage, because you try to be this strong, tough person, but sometimes you can end up being a little bossier and come off a certain way. But that's not what it's about either. It's not just taking this and being the person in charge and, you know, letting everybody see, oh, I can handle it. It's just doing the job. That's what I try to tell people all the time. It's just do it that you do it at any other job.
And can you explain, like, just if somebody were to say, because first time I was on a
Leslie has a question. Is that Leslie?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, go ahead,
Sorry.
Leslie.
Oh, Kevin, you can go first. It's okay.
No, go ahead.
My question is just like a hard one to put in the chat, so I was hoping I could just like say it. But just to explain where I'm coming from with this, I worked at Fox Sports Detroit for like 7 or 8 years. So my experience is more in journalism and in television, and I worked in all sports. So obviously a very male-dominated industry, like part of the industry. Not that film and TV isn't male-dominated anyway, but certainly in the sports industry, even more so. And I do have like some experiences outside of that, but that is the primary pull where I use to teach my students. And one of the things I try to talk to my female students a lot is just about, like you said, confidence, setting boundaries. I experienced a lot of sexual harassment when I worked in sports, like a lot. And that's actually one of the reasons I decided to start teaching and stop working there, was from those experiences. One of the things that I wish I could share with my students more is more about like Hollywood, because I know a lot about TV in Detroit, but I don't know that much about Hollywood. So I'm just curious to know from your perspective, when I'm sharing some of those experiences in TV and sexual harassment and things like that, do you think that that's representative of your experiences? Am I speaking out of place, or am I sharing something that you've experienced too?
Yeah, I've definitely experienced that. And that's comes down to what I was saying before about seeing more women in leadership roles kind of mitigates that from happening, because you have somebody to go to who's also a female, and then, you know, more females around. I mean, the one instance at the very, very beginning of my career was I was with all men, working in a production office. It was actually the first, because I'm also a writer, and it was the first script that I wrote. And it was, very, very small production, but it was a very independent production company. And all of the higher ups, the producers, the executive producer, director, everybody was male. So I was in these meetings, long meetings in the production office with these, and they have all worked together before. So there was a lot of joking around and, inappropriate conversations going on, which for me, and especially being in that world, I don't get easily offended by that stuff. I it's like locker room talk is what they say, that some of that stuff, it's not appropriate. And I think a lot of that has changed. Again, this was like 15 years ago. It's not the same setting anymore. But at that point, there was a lot of being ignored. I was just ignoring a lot of it. But then you get into these certain specifics where they were taking it a step further. And I was thinking, like, I don't have anybody to go to talk to this about right now, because there's nobody. Everybody in charge around here is a man, and most of them are in this room. And so having more females that are in the room and also in leadership roles will help change that. And plus, again, the nature of the business has changed a lot in the recent years. I've seen just a lot of things have changed, and for the good, in like probably the last 3 to 5 years. So it is a very different environment now than it used to be, which is good. But it's definitely something that is still prevalent. It's still, but it makes it easy. There's more opportunities to, like I said, Gina Davis Institute, there's different organizations that will help women come forward, or will help women at least, find somebody to, maybe someone from some of these groups might know the executive producer or the showrunner or the person at Disney that they can call directly and just, trickle down from there to take care of the problem. There's more
answer is really helpful to me, because like that's almost exactly what I experienced, that there were no women. Literally, like I was the highest woman at the company. So when it was happening to me and I was looking around like, is anyone seeing this? Like, is anyone going to say something? And it took, like, luckily I worked with a couple of men who did really respect me, and it took them to stand up and say, you guys, listen to her. What's happening to her is not okay. And she's trying to tell you that no one's listening. So it wasn't until they stood up for me that some things happened, but like exactly that. I appreciate that feedback, because that does help me.
Oh yeah. And the thing is like, I have to say, this isn't the case majority of the time. There are lots of men. Majority of the people overall I've worked with are great people. So don't, that's not like everything's toxic. And having a lot of males on your side too, that also can speak up and say, hey, this isn't appropriate, or we shouldn't. Having somebody you can go to tell that to as well, or somebody again in the room that says, you know what, we shouldn't be talking about this, or you shouldn't say that, to step up as well makes a huge difference, because that's an equal per se of realizing the problem, and maybe that person will be like, oh, and then if that person's the one singled out, maybe they just go away. What tends to happen too in the film industry and in television is these jobs are short. So you have a film or you have a television show, and a lot of times they ignore the problem because, you know what, we only have 3 more weeks of production and then it'll go away. And then the next production comes, maybe we just don't hire one of those people the next time. It's not really dealing with the problem. It's a means to an end for that. But having anybody, male or female, around that isn't afraid to like step up or speak up to an authority figure of some sort, or at least to stop and say, hey, this isn't right. That's more what everybody has to do, is come together and realize, like, is this the way you would talk to your daughter? Or is this the way you would want somebody to talk to your daughter? And That's really all it is. It's a simple mindset change, which is happening, and it's good.
One of the things that comes out of these symposia, this is our 7th one, is it often shapes where DAFT goes and what they do and what they offer. And I think that would be a great thing we'd bring up at lunch, kind of a follow-up to this, is resources for girls that are interested in the film industry. Speakers Bureau, Adam has talked about putting together kind of a playlist of topics of Zoom interviews or speakers that are available on specific topics. So I think this would be a really important thing for DAFT to offer as well. We are got a couple minutes left, and then you're off the hook, Tara. But Tara's going to be back next Friday to work with the students on the set. We do have about 15 students. We do have a little bit more, so if anybody wants to bring some students over to MPI next week, let me know. Otherwise, we got a lot that are going to join us virtually, and that's totally cool. But we got about 4 sessions set up in the stage all in a row, dealing with different departments, lighting, then sound. Then Tara's going to show what a first AD does, and then we're going to have an acting coach work with that. So it's going to be the same set back to back. Any other questions for Tara while we got her here? And Tara, you're welcome to join us throughout the day if you're interested, if any of the other sessions interest you, or if you want to join us during our brainstorming session at lunch. That's always kind of fun.
Okay, yeah, I might hop on in between.
Okay, cool.
Cool. I got to get my son started on in 13 minutes.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Tara. And
Welcome. For having me.
Yeah. And everybody, I'm going to just log us off, and then I'm going to take this laptop around the corner to the stage, and I'm going to set up, and Jeremy's going to be getting going in about 13 minutes with lighting. And he's actually kind of zeroing in on LED lighting. I know it's been a topic for a lot of people and ideas, but also looking at possibly used cameras, high-end used cameras you may do, but feel free to toss things you want to talk about. He's going to cover some stuff and do a lot of demos, but this is, please make this a real open-ended day for you, okay? So thanks, everybody. Thanks, Tara.
And feel free to reach out to me if you have any other questions or anything.
Yeah, I'm going to create a Google Drive, and I'll put all the contact information of the presenters in there. Okay.